A closely divided Supreme Court considered two cases today. The first was on the future of exceptions to a birth control mandate in the Affordable Care Act. The second, a challenge to a federal law banning robocalls. John Yang walks us through the arguments on both sides and the challenges that can come with doing them remotely.
Day 3 of socially distanced Supreme Court oral arguments brought a big dispute over whether the Trump administration may allow some employers to limit women's access to free birth control under the Affordable Care Act. An order of nuns called the Little Sisters of the Poor is joining the administration to defend federal rules expanding a religious exemption. This exchange between Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, speaking from a Baltimore hospital room where she's being treated for a gallbladder condition, and Solicitor General Noel Francisco got to the core of the issue.
So you have just tossed entirely to the winds what Congress thought was essential, that is that women be provided these services with no hassle, no cost to them. Instead, you are shifting the employer's religious beliefs, the cost of that, onto these employees who do not share those religious beliefs.
Yes, respectfully, Your Honor, I think I would disagree with the premise of your question, because there's nothing in the ACA that requires contraceptive coverage. Rather, it delegated to the agencies the discretion to decide whether or not to cover it in the first place, and we think that that also includes the discretion to require that most employers provide it, but not the small number who have sincere conscientious objections.
Marcia Coyle of the National Law Journal.
I don't think anyone questions the genuineness of the religious beliefs of the religious nonprofits, and they want very much to be completely free of any kind of role in providing contraceptive health insurance. The estimate of number of women who would lose that coverage is between 75,000 and 125,000, which is a substantial impact.
This is the third time this issue has come before the justices.
And today during the arguments, there was a certain amount of frustration, I think, expressed by several of the justices. The Chief Justice himself said at one point that he felt that neither side wants to make the accommodations that have been existing in the law for some time work.
For nearly 3 hours, the 9 justices heard arguments on this case and another on whether federal restrictions on robocalls to cell phones violate the First Amendment. Like millions of Americans, the justices are adjusting to working remotely. Justice Stephen Breyer had some phone trouble during the robocall argument.
Good, thank you. I'm sorry. The telephone started to ring, and it cut me off the call, and I don't think it was a robocall, and we got it straightened out.
Justice Sotomayor?
More than once earlier this week, Justice Sonia Sotomayor had trouble unmuting.
Justice Sotomayor?
I am sorry, Chief. Did it again.
For lawyer Lisa Blatt, her arguments to the justices on Monday were unlike any other. Instead of the marble-columned courtroom, she was at home. Among her spectators, 2 dogs.
I think I spent about 2 days getting the dining room set up to look like, as much as I could, the courtroom, to have a podium and where the briefs would sit and where my co-counsel would sit and my timekeeper, my daughter, would sit. My husband also was bouncer, so he was in charge of making sure that everyone in the neighborhood was cleared away.
One surprise from the new format: frequent questions from Justice Clarence Thomas, who has at times gone years without speaking.
In 40 arguments, I've never gotten a question from Justice Thomas. And so to have one from Justice Thomas come in 2020 was a career highlight. So that's the only perk, was getting to hear him. And he's on fire. He's absolutely on fire in every argument.
For Pennsylvania Deputy Attorney General Michael Fisher, on the other hand, today marked his first Supreme Court argument ever.
I was worried that it would, in the lead up, it wouldn't quite feel the same because I wouldn't be going to the Supreme Court. But that, frankly, didn't happen at all. And it felt, more conversational in some ways.
When the justices dial in for oral arguments next week, they'll hear the politically charged dispute over subpoenas for President Trump's financial records. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Yang.